Hey everyone, I want to do a video for Runway 00, how to get 30 seconds or better. This is going to be mostly telling you how I would actually uh, practice the level, and then going into general cues, general ideas for how to aim the throws, how to hit the throws, like the inputs for the rtap and the rleans. And yeah, I think that this level is important for uh, showing someone how they could actually practice the level efficiently. Because I got this time in 5 days. It only really took like a couple days of practice, mixed in with some real runs on those couple of days. And I think that practicing, making sure you have every drone down is very important. So on JP, if you practice, you're gonna have to do like you could just do invincibility cheat, and infinite ammo, and just pick up the nades. On English, I guess you have infinite ammo on, it doesn't even let you pick up the grenades, so it's a weird little difference there, but you'll have to use all guns and back swap till you get to the nades. So the first line of practice is just going to be making sure you can hit this throw. This very first throw, this non-rlean, and it's just simply um, just looking up and, priming from like around here, looking up, and hitting his throw. Another thing to think about is that this whole level is going to be different whether you're playing on full screen or widescreen. So I can only teach it for widescreen, but I can still at least uh, show you guys the best way of really going through practicing this properly if you're going to play on full screen or, God forbid, cinema. So, anyways, what are we doing here? We are, for this first throw, it's so important. Most people, not most people, but half the people playing this level are already going to be pretty familiar with this throw, from playing previous strategies at this level or LTK or whatever. But the thing is it's extremely important that you're hitting this all the time, because then when you could get into real runs and have real runs be more efficient practice, even though you're doing real runs, like you're able to practice more often when you're hitting this drone like 98% of the time. Like every time you're not getting like a troll boost, you should be hitting this drone. And even when you get a troll boost, sometimes you could still like have it somehow just bounce along and then blow up the drone and get a boost out of it, which is really fast. Anyway, so for here, I'll do like, I don't know, 10 minutes of practice of this. Like, let's say you're starting up from scratch. Just go here and do like 10 minutes of practice. If you could hit it all the time, you're done. But at least like 10 minutes of practice, making sure you're hitting this all the time. So you're coming around here and you start priming Z like at the barrel or before the barrel. So it looks like I did it like a little bit before the barrel, the first barrel here. And you're walking along this little line here. Again, this is on widescreen. So I'm a player who likes to use ammo off screen, but for this level, this one throw, having the nade icon is really useful. So I use ammo on screen. You will notice though I use R aimer off screen, which is troll, but you don't have to worry about that. When I do an R lean, just imagine that there's an R aimer there. Doesn't make a difference. So anyways, start holding Z now. I'm looking up, still kind of like taking a similar line, but maybe coming from the line like slightly curved in. And what I do is I just um, put the nade icon to be like on the slant here, on this hill, a little bit above the actual wall. And then I throw it right as I get past the start of the wall. There's a lot of ways you can do this, but the thing is that the earlier you throw it, the more likely, like obviously you're not going to get shot by a guard, so the nade won't fly to your hands, which usually makes it fling past the drone and blow up on the floor. So you do want to, like, the best way to do this throw is going to be the earlier you can throw it, the better. So I had the cue of just like lining it up here, kind of coming from the outside, turning in slightly, and as soon as I get here, boom, I throw it, and it's gonna just bounce and just blow up on the drone. And another good thing too is that getting a really good throw, because you're not always gonna kill this guard if you're doing like wacky throws. If you can get it down to where instead of it blowing up here, if you get it down to where it's blowing up down here and killing the guard every run, that's gonna save you a shitload as well. Like that's gonna help you so much because now here's one less guard that can charge at you and hit a nade out of your hands and fuck you over. So I guess the important thing is not only getting the drone down all the time, but having a drone where it's also blowing up the guard pretty much every run. So anyways, I would practice this, yeah, like 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. Make sure it's down. Some players might need an hour or two, regardless. Um, you should be making sure you're getting this drone like down pat for sure. It should become quick, but it needs to be stressed how important that is to have this down because everything's going to be built off of this. Now you have that every run. Even if you hop into real runs like fast, you can at least be getting like most runs to attempt all these throws, even if you don't know what the hell you're doing. At least you'll be there. So, anyways, you get that down. Now, what I would do with cheats on, right? We still have cheats on. Now I would start running to, I would have full speed because you're gonna have full speed with this part, right? I would have full speed and I would keep running back to around here, and I would start practicing this rtap throw. And maybe even before that, maybe you're just looking up and just practicing rtaps and rleans. But I would do it one at a time. I would first get the rtap inputs down, then I would get the lineup down, and then I would move on to the drones with the rleans. You want to first get your rtaps figured out, then you get your rleans figured out, then figure out how to fucking do them both in one run, which is kind of, I'll explain later, but it's a tricky thing. But anyways, so with this throw though, specifically, what I do is I start priming around like on widescreen. You're walking right along this line here, and on widescreen, you're gonna start holding Z when you get to like the edge of the screen is on this first thing here. I think some people do it maybe more like, so I'm not saying that mine's like perfect or correct. I mean, I was getting it all the time. I'd get 3 in a row all the time, but some people might start priming it here. So everyone's a little bit different. It's all good. But here's just a general rule of thumb. You're gonna start priming around here, right? You can see the Z. I have an input display here, so it should be helpful. You can start priming around here, walking along the line for a bit, and then after you get past that part, and I'm not gonna lie, when I've been doing these runs, I'm not actually like, it turned into a muscle memory. Like I'm not actually using any visual cue. The visual cue I'm using is here. I start holding Z here. The rest though is just kind of a muscle memory and a feeling as far as when I actually turn and throw. I'm not really looking at all this stuff, but I'm letting you know what you could start by practicing and maybe ingrain it in your head to turn into a muscle memory for yourself, if that makes sense. A lot of these things I'm not really thinking about too hard on the run. I just kind of got it down to where I can do it like, without paying too much attention. So start holding Z here. Then after I get past there, then I turn. You have on widescreen again, right? You have like a pizza slice here, some sort of a slice here with the and you're gonna look up about after you get past this drone here. So yeah, some sort of a where the snow and the cement kind of meet. You're going from here to where it's like pretty much all off screen, and then you're gonna open up, look up, and do the rtap. Let's see how good of a throw that was. So that was perfect. That like landed like right on it. It can land here, blow up. I'm not sure really. I've never really been positive, but sometimes it feels like if it lands around here and blows up this barrel, the barrel is like helping it destroy it. Like it would be a little bit out of range to blow it up, but it gives it a little extra oomph. Probably just in my head. It's probably just barely close enough to actually blow it up on its own. But basically what I'm saying is it can go anywhere from here over to here. Sometimes it might go like past the drone, blow up like behind it and not blow it up. The nice thing too about if you could blow it up, like there's a specific spot where it can blow up, and kind of like the first drone, it can blow up this battery and kill this guard here that always trolls you. I'm not saying like the first drone you should be able to kill that guard all the time. I'm not saying here you should be able to kill the guard. Don't try too hard. I'm just saying that like there is a specific throw or a specific way it might work sometimes that is like extremely good, because to kill that guard, to lower the lag, helps the inputs, later on, and then has the guard not troll you out of, like as you're holding the next two nades, you don't want him to shoot the nade out of your hands, and also he just kind of trolls you and scares you, Like sometimes even if he doesn't troll you, like even if he doesn't hit you before you hit your thing, you just feel rushed. When you see a guard charging at you or like shooting at you, you're like, oh fuck, I gotta get this off right now. And then you like mess it up and then they hit you after and then you're like, well, they didn't even technically mess it me up. Just mentally, it was a mind game. So regardless, you're gonna look up, you're gonna throw. Now, what is an rtap? All right. Um, an rtap is holding Z. Let's just say with like a nade rtap, holding Z. Again, I haven't actually mentioned this, but I have rubber banded C up and C right. You could do rubber band, you could stick a toothpick in it, you can tape it, whatever, but have C up and C right held down without your fingers, without your thumb, without your fingers. All right, that is going to be really helpful for this level. So, anyways, so you already have that down. An R tap, like a right strafe R tap, also known as a single rlean, by the way. I just refer to like an R tap is a single rlean, and an rlean is a double rlean. That's just, usually when people refer to an rlean, they're referring to a double rlean. So I think that as a community, most of us seems to just kind of have boiled it down now to like an R tap is this little thing here for the battery on Runway 00. Only real time we use it, except for the old Runway 00 strat. So we use that for the battery. It's R tap. And then the rlean is like everything else, Surface 2, Agent, and SA. These drones here. So that's an rlean. Anyways, so what is an rtap? An rtap is in right strafe. You're holding Z. You're holding right strafe, and you just simply let go of Z, and then hold R. Now, don't let the tap of the name fool you. It's not just like pressing it. If you press it for like one frame, it's not gonna work. You have to hold it. It looks like here I held it for like 4 frames or something. So this was solid. You can hold it for 100 frames. It's not going to mess it up. It's just going to be really slow. But basically it has to be at least like minimum, like, I don't know, maybe 3 frames or something. So just make sure you're not like actually just like, just fucking tapping it like as fast as possible. Like it is a bit of a hold. So that's all it is though. It takes a little while to get the feeling down for it. But the inputs of the rtap is very simple. You literally just let go of Z, press R while you're in right strafe. So if you're not even touching the buttons, all you're doing is you're literally just letting go of Z, pressing R. That's all your fingers are doing here. It's just getting that timing right between the letting go of Z and the pressing R is rough. Like it can be rough sometimes. It's just like especially because Z is a very unreliable thing. You can press A, you can be holding Z and like press A to throw, but I don't do that, so I'm not going to put that in my tutorial. It is a good tool, especially for the last drone, like the transition between the second rlean or the first rlean and the second rlean for those drones. It's good, it's better, but I didn't do it, and I'm not gonna teach anyone how to do something I don't even know how to fucking do properly. So, anyways, what I'm saying though is that like this Z letting go of Z is kind of unreliable because like it's just a spongy Z. Everyone's Z is gonna be different, right? Like their button, the physical button. So letting go of it might actually just come out at a different time every time. So it's just kind of a shit show, but you can get it pretty consistent. So again, make sure you've practiced. Make sure you're getting a solid few of them. You should be seeing the nade fly to like the right of the screen here. That's how you know you hit it. Like only for like a frame or 2. I don't know how this one worked because it was like more than just a frame. I guess it was 2 frames, so that's fine. Yeah, make sure you get the inputs down and then you start practicing this. So there's your rtap, okay? Try to not pay too much attention to this. Try to like focus on everything else and try to like, it's a big skill in GoldenEye. Like try to not think about the fact that this is definitely a complete here, or if it's over here, like, oh, it might be a complete. Try to just focus on your stuff. So anyways, so now we've practiced the first drone, and then we've practiced coming from here and practicing this R tap, okay? So you've done a whole lot of practice. First drone, 10, 20 minutes, whatever. Some people might only need like 5 minutes, but I'm just saying. The R tap, I don't know. 30 minutes, an hour, whatever you need, right? 5 hours, whatever you might need to figure out that R tap. But those 2 things can be practiced independently. Now, the way I would practice this throw here for this rlean is because the rlean and the rtap are different types of inputs, you want to separate them at first. So what I would do is I would come around, I would strafe around here. I would just turn, look up, and press R without actually attempting the rtap. You know, you've already got your battery figured out. You're already all good, and you're going to get a lot more practice when you're doing real runs because it's the first thing you really do. So I would disregard now this battery, but I would still take the same lines because you really need to practice coming from here. When you press R, it kills all your speed. So you want to press R here, look down, and you want to start doing this line, and you have to figure out how to line this up properly. So I think it's very important, instead of just standing here and just trying to like throw and stuff, I think you really need to be doing this in full motion as you would be on a real run to get good practice. That it's very important, you know, getting your lines figured out, and eventually just doing real runs, but like making sure that like your lines are good to where you're not getting shot all the time is very important. So first, the rlean itself. What is the rlean? So the rlean, and here it's tricky because you have to be holding C left. You have to be in left strafe, but you're trying to lean to the left, right? Unlike on surface 2, you're in right strafe and then leaning to the left. Here you're in left strafe and then leaning to the left. So you already have C up and C right rubber band down, luckily. Like that makes things a lot easier. And the actual input is actually pretty simple. It's tricky, but it's actually pretty simple. You're holding Z to prime the nade. You're holding C left to be in left strafe because C left overrides C right. You're holding both of these together, right? That's all you're doing right now on your controller and like touching the stick or whatever. You're like trying to be in full lookup. Also, it's important to like completely let go of the stick before you do any of these rlean inputs for the rtap or the rleans. But anyways, all you're doing is you're transitioning from holding Z and holding C left, and you're turning that into holding R. So you're letting go of both of these and pressing R right away, waiting a couple of frames, and then you're pressing C left. Okay? And all you're seeing after this now is now I'm letting go of R so I can start moving again in left strafe. And I'm pressing Z to prime for the next thing. But none of those inputs are important for the actual first throw that you're seeing here that I'm trying to teach you. All right, so you're holding Z and C left, and you trade that. You're at the, you know, at the flea market. You're making a trade here. You're like, I'll trade you a Z and a C left for an R, and they're like, okay, cool. So you got the R, boom. And then you press C left like almost immediately after. You don't want to hold on for too long. You know, you don't want to like boom, boom, or like boom, boom. It's like let go and then just press C left like basically right away. Not immediately right away, but it looks like it's only like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 4 frames in between pressing C left again. So not a whole lot of time. And what that's doing is you're holding R, you're letting go of C left. And what that's doing is that's as soon as you press R, you've already let go of C left. So you're like in the middle when you press R, going to the right because you're in right strafe technically. So now you've like you're hanging out here. You've leaned to the right. I guess it's kind of opposite on my camera. So I'll go like this. You've leaned to the right, and then you've thrown to the left by pressing C left again. So you've leaned all the way. That's why it's called a double lean, because it's like going from far on one side of the lean to the other lean instead of an R tap, which is just going from the middle to the side. So anyways, so you're when you let go of C left and you press R, you're leaning all the way over here, and then so you have to give that for like, you know, like 2, 3, 4 frames or whatever. And then when you press it again, you're like flinging all the way over here so that you're able to get all that distance, eating it over. So that is the rlean. Again, you can figure out how to press A. It is advisable if you can figure it out, but it's way too hard for me with the buttons and it wasn't essential for 29, so I just said fuck it, you know. But especially for like 28 or 27, you do want to learn the A press strat. So anyways, So how do we actually do this? So you want to, as soon as you do the rtap for the battery, you want to look down and take a line out of the way here, kind of like making your way to the middle here where this line is. So you want like grab goes really out of the way and then cuts in. But what I was doing is I was just coming along here, going around the middle, and then you start turning. And then I start holding Z as I feel myself get onto the line. That was giving me the best lineup here. But again, this is all stuff you're going to have to figure out on your own. But here's a little general, here's what I did. Now you're going to want to turn, but get your line so you're like strafing as far over here as you can because you want to get closer to the drone. So you want to get yourself as far over here as possible while still somehow like slightly turning in to get yourself more onto at least like this like darker patch of snow. Like this, there's a big line here. You want to get yourself around there where you actually hit the throw. So you're getting yourself closer to the gravel. By the time I'm throwing, I'm probably like actually like on this line here. But regardless, that's what you're trying to do. It's like it's weird. You want to like be moving. I guess I go like this. You want to be moving to the left. Yeah, maybe moving to the left, but getting yourself going up as well at the same time. Like slowly but surely. And then you're having like you're not throwing parallel with this line. You're having like a decent amount actually, like more than you would think maybe. A decent amount of an angle looking left. And that's how you're going to get it. But you want to be moving over here. So you can see here, by the time I'm looking up, because I'm in like planar view right now, helps line up stuff. You can see I have like a decent amount of this snow, like a decent angle going based off the way the snow looks and like based off the plane. So everyone's different, like Grav kind of rleans from like on like facing with this because here's this little corner here with this guard. Grav is kind of like more like over here when he throws it. Some people are like more like over here. I'm kind of like, I guess, in the middle. I don't know. It looks like when I throw it, I'm like straight across from the battery. So anyways, so look up. You're going to see this mountain. You want to see like a solid amount of this mountain on screen. That's another thing you could do too. Is you can kind of figure out the mountain, like how the mountain should look when you look fully up. Everyone's going to be a little bit different with how far along the mountain they are, but the mountain's still going to look pretty similar with, there's going to be, you want it to like go like this. That means that you're turned left enough. You want to like, if it's like only like this, the mountain, that means you're like looking too far to the right. So anyways, so I hit my throw. I can't really show you the throw. I mean, I could show you like in the cinema where it blows up. That was like a perfect throw. That seemingly like pretty perfect. It might have been a little bit on the mountain, which can fail, but yeah, you want it to explode around here. Even if it gets like right in front of the drone, it just doesn't blow up. Like most of the time, it's like way more precise than you'd think. Like I was hitting it at first and I was like, oh, it's not even that bad. And then I started getting so many runs that was just like I was like, oh, that definitely blew it up. And then I look and the drone's still there. It's ridiculous. So it's actually pretty difficult. But anyways, yeah, just make sure that you're turning and that you're like enough forward over here so that you can like get it across. Sometimes if you're like back enough, like it'll just go through the mountain or some shit. So there's that throw. So again, how are you going to practice this? You're just going to come here and attempt the like fake out the battery. Like just take this line right here, turn, look up, fake throw, like just press R. That'll kill your speed, so it'll be realistic. Look down, and now you're gonna practice this. Practice this as long as you need until you're really starting to get it. You want to make sure you're getting that. And now for this last throw, now you know how to do the rlean, right? So I don't need to tell you too much. What I will tell you is the reason why you want to separate it is because it's really difficult. I mean, even once you start doing real runs, it's really difficult. Like, at least for me, it was. Doing rtaps, you're just letting go of Z and then pressing R. But then, like, doing the rleans, it's like, I guess it's kind of similar. Well, no, it's not because you're, with the rlean, you're letting go of Z and pressing R like immediately afterwards, and then just pressing C left like a few frames later. But with the R tap, you're like letting go of Z and like giving it a moment, and then pressing C right, or sorry, pressing R. So it's just like it really fucks you up because you're doing one thing one way, and then you're doing two throws like another way. So it's like the timing is just so different, it's so weird. And so first you want to make sure you kind of have like them down separately, and then you start combining them on runs. Like don't be too discouraged. At first it's gonna be you're gonna like have no you're gonna probably have the battery down more often, and then you're gonna be like, I don't even know how to rlean. You're gonna forget, turn back on cheats or something, just yeet a bunch of rleans. Or like if you forget how to do an rtap and an rlean, you're just gonna have to go on and just throw out a few just into the sky there, and get your motivation, you get your momentum back, get your confidence back. So anyways, that's the tricky thing. So now what I would do is now I would practice the last drone from practicing this. So now like you don't have to add in the battery. The battery you should already have down now, right? But now I would just start doing it where now I'm really focused in on this, but I've already got this pretty down, but you still use some practice. And then from here you're trying to do this rlean, because that's going to help practice both your rleans and on proper lines. So this thing, if you watch runs, like there's a lot of different ways you could do this last drone. I would say this other drone, even though people are a little bit different with it, it still is going to look pretty similar. It's just like how far along you are throwing and how early you're priming and stuff. But this last drone just seems to be like a free for all with people. Not saying that's necessarily the greatest thing, but it's fine. So you want to throw, and then you want to like turn to the right after you throw, but Grav is further back, and he does a really hard turn like right away. I kind of like did like a half-ass turn, and then I turned again, and then I looked up and threw. So honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea what I was doing with this throw. Like I did internally, I was actually hitting it very often. Like once I had it down, I was hitting this throw pretty often. But it's just like it was literally just like a feeling of like every run being different. Where am I standing? Where am I moving to? How did I do this turn? And then figuring out how to throw. It definitely needs to be like turning past, like it's definitely not parallel with this line, obviously. So you have to be turned in enough to where you're, you know, like looking to the right of this yellow thing. Like you're not perpendicular with it, I guess. You're like turning, diagonal to it. But yeah, you can look up and just throw. I guess what I can say is as soon as you hit this rlean, as soon as you hit it, start holding Z again. Or if you do the A tap strat, then you can just stay holding Z, which again, it's better for the last throw. It's more consistent. It's faster. You could start priming earlier, but I didn't do that. So anyways, you want to look up and throw before you get to the yellow line. I think that regardless, that's a good rule of thumb. I mean, who knows exactly where I did it. Maybe I did this on top of the yellow line here, but I was either on top of it or before it. But I definitely started looking up before I got to it. So yeah, that's like the main thing with it. And you can see here where I hit. So if you delay a moment, then, which I did on accident here, I missed the B press. But if you delay a moment, then it can at least blow up on the second wave of explosions, which is good. If you don't mind getting a 30, you could wait like an extra second and get like a 30 with that blowing up on the third or fourth wave of explosions. So the more you wait, the more likely it is to complete. Most runs, what I was doing is because I was usually more further back and further right here. So usually I would turn hard here and try to look at this drone on the left and see if that blew up, and then I would look over here. Not saying it's the greatest thing, but I'm also not saying it's the worst thing to do. Yeah, depending on what kind of time you're going for. It can be nice to like see if that thing blew up, But anyways, yeah, so all you're doing here, you're gonna do the practice runs. You're gonna practice this and how you do your turn here. I did like an adjustment later. I think a lot of people are gonna do like a hard turn and then just keep that turn. I did like I knew that that wasn't a hard enough turn, so I adjusted in more. You can use the plane, you can use, you know, different visual cues. I just, at a certain point, you can do that first rlean like pretty consistently, like your lineup can be pretty consistent and your, you know, where you're standing and everything. But here at a certain point, it's just going to be a little bit all over the place regardless, you know. Unless you're just like really consistent with like how you do your turn after that first rlean. So anyways, you're going to turn here. You can use the plane, you can use whatever kind of feelings, you know. Make sure you use the yellow lines, making sure you're like actually turn past it. That's the most important thing. But like if you watch Grab's run, the plane tail is at the very edge of the screen on widescreen. But that's just because he's way further to the right. So I guess maybe that's the best way to go about this drone. Is it's not necessarily about the plane exactly or about whatever. It's just about like seeing where you're on along the runway and seeing how far you're turned. Because still, if you're throwing at the same around the same spot, which is like, you know, before or after or before or on this yellow line, it should still be pretty similar. So it's just really it's just about the angle. So maybe keeping in mind if you could figure out your angles is more important than just like, oh, exactly looking at the plane or looking at any other kind of reference, you know. So yeah, that's all you're gonna do, and then you start doing real runs, and you just once again you just make sure on this throw you start holding Z around like right now, like before, like, you know, maybe before this line here, definitely well before this line. The earlier the better. You hold Z, throw it, because you want that to blow up like earlier. It can even blow up much earlier than that. And then just you want it to go in, cut in a little bit. You don't really have to adjust on the stick to throw it to have this work, but yeah, you just want to like barely be on the outside so this doesn't hit you because you're already starting to prime. So you're priming, throw, start holding Z, turn, look up, rtap, look down, slowly curve around here, start holding Z, strafing mostly to the left, but a little bit turned now, like just very slow turns. How do I describe that? Just kind of very casually turning here. Nothing sharp. And then you find your line, which you should potentially not have to adjust from here. Like you're kind of trying to like find a line here to where you're like, okay, I'm good with that. Let it go on a little bit longer. Look up and throw. Turn. Get your angle right, throw. And then hit B on the plane and hope the cinema comes up. So anyways, that's it for you guys. Thanks for watching, and hope that helps.